Let me say good afternoon and welcome you all to our town hall meeting. As all of you know, I'm sure, we've had a rash of burglaries in lovely Oakmont over the last several months, and it's gotten a lot of people quite disturbed, and understandably. We're going to talk about security today, personal security and property security. And to that end, we've pulled together a group of 6 speakers who will talk to you about various aspects of security systems, how you go about securing yourself, either alone or with your neighbors, because Oakmont, OVA, cannot offer you security. And further, they have no obligation to do so. So security is your responsibility as individuals. So bear that in mind. The OVA can do a couple of things, one of which was to set up an ad hoc committee to study the feasibility of putting surveillance cameras at both entrances to Oakmont. That has a certain deterrent effect and could be helpful later, possibly, in solving crimes, but it's not an immediate security device. However, you'll hear more about that later. The other thing that OVA has asked us to do is set up this meeting today to bring information to you for your use in helping to secure yourself. And bear that in mind, it's your job, and if it's going to be done, you're going to have to do it. So we have 6 speakers here, and what we're going to do, each of them will be given 12 minutes to make a presentation from the podium, after which we'll open the floor up for questions to that particular speaker. We're going to allow only 5 minutes each. We have 6 speakers, and with their speaking time and the question time, we're going to use up most of the 2 hours just getting through the speakers. So the other thing I have to tell you is, that if you come to the front to speak, we're obliged to get your consent or your permission, really, to tape you while you're speaking. That's something we have to be concerned with. So I'm going to say to you, if you want to address the speakers with a question, be appraised that when you come up to this microphone, my assistant will help you, that we're going to assume we have your permission to go ahead and tape you. If that bothers you in any way, I suggest you hold your questions, because after the formal presentations, all of these speakers will be over at the side tables, and you can go over there and ask them whatever questions you have. That segment will not be taped. So that's about some of the things. So let's get this thing going. And I'm going to introduce as our first speaker, Mr. Frank Dunnigan. Frank chaired the ad hoc committee that looked into surveillance cameras, as I mentioned before. Their work is about done, and he's going to give you a brief report on what they found and what their recommendations to the board will probably be. So, Frank, are you ready to, where are you? I'm going to put a timer in front of each one of these guys. And when it sets off its horrendous noise, they all know that their time is about up.
Then we'll start questions. Okay, thank you all for coming today. I'm Frank Dunnigan, and next to me is Joan Jarris. We were 2 of the members on the ad hoc committee. The others were Dave Johnson and Bill Peretta and Bob Stinson. And I'd like to thank everybody on the committee for what they did. We had a short period of time. We were appointed just a few weeks ago, and we have wrapped up our investigation of what the board asked us to do. The board was very specific when appointing us. The board wanted a study on the feasibility of installing security cameras at the Oakmont entrances and on the VIPS, Volunteers in Police Services program of the Santa Rosa Police Department. I've spoken to a lot of you, and I've certainly heard a lot of issues that you have, a lot of concerns that you have. A lot of them are very valid. Some of them were a little beyond the scope of the committee. Unfortunately, we could not do anything to help you about speeders and stop sign violators and people who don't pick up doggy poop. Those are indeed valid concerns, and depending on what the issue is, you might have to address that somewhere else. So we did have a very limited scope, and we followed the direction that we were given by the board. We began by doing a couple of things, looking at other communities, other senior communities in particular. We also talked to the Santa Rosa Police Department a number of times, and we talked to various vendors who provide surveillance equipment and the actual surveillance and record maintenance. There's a lot of things out there. One thing we discovered very, very quickly was that we were among the very few senior communities in Northern California that do not have some form of community-wide surveillance. Virtually all other senior communities have something. Now, sometimes they have things that we cannot have. We cannot have gates. We cannot be a gated community because we have public streets. So immediately take that off your wish list. A couple of other things, security patrols, they're nice, they're effective in some areas. May not be as effective here because of our meandering streets, the large number of very tiny cul-de-sacs, and the theory that is probably very correct because the police confirmed it. Once you see that security patrol go by, they're not coming back down your street for a long time. If you're a burglar, you figure that out. So some things would not work. One thing we learned from the police department, and John Boralia is with us today. He's in charge of a lot of volunteer services with the police. He's done 2 neighborhood watch meetings, one for my own association, Meadow Creek, the other for Loma, the League of Oakmont Maintained Area Associations. And one of the things that came through loud and clear was that we are an ideal setting for video surveillance. We only have 2 ways in and 2 ways out. The theory is that we are not preying on one another. The burglars are very likely not Oakmonters. If that's the case, they are very likely coming into the community just before a burglary and probably leaving as quickly as their little feet will carry them after the burglary. Again, given the nature of some of the burglaries, things like big screen TVs, nobody's scampering across the golf course with one of those under their arms. There are vehicles involved in almost every burglary. If there are vehicles involved, 2 ways in, 2 ways out. So with that in mind, we wanted to address some of the concerns that we knew people might have. We spoke to Malcolm Manuel, the OVA attorney. I met with him along with Patricia Arnold, the manager, before the committee's work started. And we asked Malcolm one very basic question. What is the legality of video surveillance? Malcolm's response was, in this day and age, no one walking down a public street should have any expectation of personal privacy. If you are out on a public street, you're being watched by someone, somehow, somewhere. So with that in mind, he said, as long as you have appropriate equipment and signage, you're perfectly legal to conduct video surveillance on a public street. Just want to read you some of the places that are nearby that have video surveillance in place 24/7. Everything from First Community Bank, Wells Fargo Bank, Sonoma Bank, Valley of the Moon Plaza, 7-Eleven, Walgreens, Burger King, McDonald's, Mission Plaza, every single ATM in the United States, Safeway, Chevron, Exchange Bank, Lucky, Montgomery Village, Bank of America, California Auto Association, Santa Rosa Mall. Everybody get the idea? You're being surveilled every time you walk down the street. That is probably a good thing. That probably makes a lot of people think twice about committing crimes when they see a very visible camera. So with that in mind, we started talking to vendors, and we did get 3 bids, and they were all over the place. We saw a very inexpensive setup on the internet. After exploring, it turned out not to be suitable for exterior use. They said exterior, but they meant on a covered porch, not in the middle of Oakmont Drive. We got a very high-end bid from one of the industry leaders, ADT, and then we found a local firm, and they provided a much more moderate bid that was much more encompassing, and they talked about everything that they would do for us as a single package. pulling city permits, putting up the poles, putting in the cameras, offering a camera that is completely self-contained, no other equipment on site other than the camera, and best of all, none of us, no resident, no staff member, would have access to the records. Only the video company and the Santa Rosa Police Department following an incident. So Joan's going to give you a little bit more background about some of the things we found out and a few of the costs.
As an example, the rather high-end bid was around $50,000 for the equipment, but there was also a monthly $500 charge every month, whether it's a robbery, anything. The local bid surveillance people said that the price of each camera would be around $7,500. So it would be recommended to have 4 cameras, one in Oakmont, one coming out of Oakmont, at both the Pythian entrance and the Oakmont entrance. So when and if, hopefully it wouldn't happen, but if there is a robbery, that the local person would simply bring his laptop, go over near the box next to the camera, and download the information, put it on a compact disc, bring it over to the authorities at the police department. And that would be a one-time charge of $100 to do that. So hopefully for the months that there's no problem, there's no charge. That would be a lot better to us. And of course, we're both big advocates on working with local people. I don't think I have much else other than to say that I did go, and I couldn't get a firm commitment because at that time the board still has not voted to have this, these cameras installed. But I did go to all 3 banks here in Oakmont, and I went to the market and a couple of real estate offices, because we all know that part of the sales pitch in real estate is you're moving into a nice, secure community. They were all very interested, very anxious to have this thing completed, and they would be willing to donate. I couldn't get a commitment on price because at that time we didn't know the prices. But if the board does approve this, then of course, I would be going back to them and possibly, hopefully, that they will be coming forth on helping us cover some of the fees.
Yesterday we did a presentation to the Finance Committee, and the Finance Committee unanimously voted to recommend to the board an expenditure not to exceed $30,000 for the installation of cameras. So that was a very good thing, but it's not over. The board still has to meet, the board still has to evaluate the proposal and make a decision and vote on it. The other part of what we were doing was to evaluate the feasibility of the Volunteers in Police Services program. We very quickly learned that based on budget constraints for the city of Santa Rosa, there is no academy to train volunteers for the VIPS program until at least spring of 2013. So that really is out. The police recommend that unless someone goes through their program, they are not certified to act as an official volunteer in police services. So with that off the table, that left cameras as the only thing the committee was charged with looking at, and that's why we limited our work to that. And I think we're just creeping up on the point for questions. No, I'm giving you an extra minute.
Credit that back.
I guarantee there will be enough questions to fill up that extra minute.
So now we're going to open the floor up to questions for Frank and his compatriot there. If you have a question, will you please come up to the microphone here, and my assistant will help you. I think it's turned on. All you have to do is speak into it and speak away.
Yeah, Betty Secord, Stonebridge Road. Now, were you going to tell them about how the cameras would pick up the people and the licenses and all that?
Well, I didn't have quite enough time to go into all that detail, but I'll mention
That was my question.
Raised it. Two cameras at each entrance, one focused on incoming traffic, one on outgoing traffic. Again, 2 at each entrance, total of 4. The cameras can record in day or night, light or dark, rain or shine. The detail is so clear they can pick up license plates. When that information is captured, the police have an absolute record of who was in and out. Now, there has been a concern expressed, and it's a valid concern, that seeing a vehicle entering or exiting Oakmont is not the same as capturing a person or a vehicle outside the house that's being robbed. Everybody with me on that? It's a different thing. However, in terms of police investigation, data collection is cumulative. Sometimes you see a single image and that proves nothing. But if the same vehicle, identified by either license plate number or a clear physical description, is repeatedly present in the vicinity and at the time of a burglary, a vandalism, an arson, an attack, police often react with what they refer to as an aha, it's that one again. And they will then engage in far more research if they're seeing the same vehicles in and around a crime scene and they have the evidence on tape, date, time, all stamped on the tape. They will conduct a further investigation and start to link things together. So it would not only help us, the information that we capture can help them with other investigations. Yep.
One thing to, excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
One thing to add to this is that they tested these are high-end cameras. You could buy a lesser expensive model, but if you're going to do it, especially something like this, do it right. This is a revolving film, or not film, showing my age. This is, it changes, image disc changes weekly, but it can overlap. And they tested these cameras on an overpass at I-5, and you know how fast cars go on I-5. We've come a long way, I've been told, in 10 years with the sophistication of these cameras. On I-5, every car going by, they could get the car, which would be important to ID, and then quickly, before you can almost blink an eye, zoom in on the license plate. This is on I-5 when you're doing 75, 80, 90 miles an hour. So it's a good camera.
My name is Ellen Butterman. I live at 227 White Oak. How is this going to be paid for? Are we going to be assessed, or are you going to get into that?
The Finance Committee determined that there were funds available in the budget, and they approved the expenditure unanimously, approved the recommendation to the board unanimously yesterday. Now it goes to the entire board to vote on.
Okay, thank you.
More questions?
Just to follow up to that question one bit more, you all know that we spend a lot of money on a lot of things at Oakmont, and I'm supportive of a lot of things, and I question a lot of things. I think all of you do too. One owner at yesterday's meeting on her way out made the comment to the board, well, congratulations, we appreciate the fact you voted for surveillance cameras. And I'll just share this with you because I thought it was a humorous note. The Finance Committee also approved $7,500 for mulch at the East Rec. And this owner said, well, thank you very much. You approved as much for mulch as you did for one camera. But again, it is a question of priorities. It is a question of what's important to the people who live in Oakmont. So again, we are totally appreciative of what the Finance Committee did yesterday and hope the board acts on their recommendation.
Other question here, please?
Yeah, I'm Bern Lefson, 7275 Oakmont Drive. In terms of your study, how much deterrence or actual capturing of individuals that are engaged in illicit activities can we expect through such a surveillance system? That's number one. Number two, did you look at any of the other, talk to the other communities like ours who have systems and what their experience and whether they thought this was really a return on an investment? Thank you.
To answer the first question, cameras mounted at the entrances are going to capture absolutely zero crime in progress. short of the person who drives over the center median as they're coming in or going out. They are there to capture evidence for things that may be happening in this community. One of the first things that we were told back in April, when the first burglary occurred on Pythian Road, was that someone saw a vehicle that looked suspicious at the time. It was a big brown car. Unless it was a big maroon car. Oh, unless it was a big blue car. Well, it was a Cadillac. Oh no, it was a Buick. Well, it might have been an Oldsmobile. Well, it was really old. Well, it wasn't that old. Well, it was really beat up. Well, it wasn't that beat up. It was rusty. No, it wasn't. What are the poor police looking for? From the police department, had there been cameras at the entrances, given the light amount of traffic in and out at that time of day, they would likely have captured an image of something that matched witness descriptions. So we'll have to talk very quickly. We did talk to other communities. Again, we didn't get into the detail that the questioner was asking about what has their experience been. This committee only had about 8 weeks to do its work. But what we determined was that every senior community in Northern California has some sort of system in place. Once we eliminate the ones we cannot do, like gates, we're left with video surveillance or security patrol in vehicles. Security patrol in vehicles is very, very expensive because it involves staffing 24 hours a day. Therefore, video surveillance. And that is the standard security measure in virtually every business in this country today.
Thank you, Frank. Very good.
Could I add one now?
No, your time is up. I'm sorry. If you more time, the man at the end of the line won't even get to speak. So.
I'll talk real fast.
Yeah. We're going to move on now to our next speaker. This gentleman is representing the police department today. His name is John Waraglia, and he's going to speak to you at this time. One of his compatriots will be out here later and will be over at the side there at the table marked police to answer questions, if you have questions for them that we cannot handle in the normal 5 minutes. So, John, are you ready?
No, never.
Okay. Well, here you go anyway.
Oh, man. I get nervous with those things. Anyway, thank you so much on behalf of the Santa Rosa Police Department. My name is John Roy. I'm a volunteer at Santa Rosa Police. I have a couple of weeks shy of 14 years with them, and I spend most of my time in community outreach. Most of our job is to come out and do neighborhood watch presentations, identity theft, and personal safety. I have worked over the years with Sue, doing neighborhood watches and holding meetings out here, but it is an ongoing problem out here. So what we're here today to talk to you about is Neighborhood Watch. Neighborhood Watch is nothing more than neighbors getting together and taking steps to prevent crime. Last year in the city of Santa Rosa, they received somewhere in the neighborhood of 132,000 calls for service. That means someone has called and we have to dispatch somebody, whether it be an officer, field evidence tech, on a bus, somebody had to go. About a few months ago, we had 1 month of 17,000 calls. So they are all over the place. I live in the Bennett Valley area, and we all here live in what we call Zone 6. It is the largest zone by far. The city is divided into 9 zones. The smaller the zones, the more calls for service. We are the largest zone. We go from Pythian to Farmers to Highway 12 all the way over to the golf course on Bennett Valley Road. Right now, and most of the time, we have 2 officers in the zone. If another zone needs help or assistance, we rob Peter to pay Paul, and they move all over the place. So we, as part of my job today and over the years, have been to recruit your eyes and ears. You are here. We need you to have eyes and ears. A very, very good witness. We don't ever want you to take any steps that may cause harm or retribution to you or your family. If you can Get a license plate, get a description, great. But if you see a car stop somewhere, we don't want you to go over there and say, what are you doing? If you have a camera and you can surreptitiously take a picture, license plates, great. Please don't go over there and say, smile, you're on my camera. Please don't do those kind of things because it is dangerous. Very, very dangerous. We don't want you to be confrontational. If, in fact, the first thing about neighborhood watch, in order for a crime to be committed, 3 elements need to be present. Means, motive, and opportunity. We can't do much about means and motive, but we can collectively do something about opportunity. And we need to take steps, take that away from them. And it can't be as simple as closing your garage door, locking your cars. And when you are out and about, vigilance, looking. Instead of looking at the sidewalk, we hope you're looking at the road when you're driving. Your eyes are up and looking. These people are seeing. If there is something that seems suspicious, we'd like you to call. Call us. That's what they're there for. That's what they're there. So they get paid for. But in order for something to be suspicious, you need to know what's normal. That's getting to know your neighbors, getting to know what cars frequent them, relatives that come by, so that when something is outstanding, it stands out. I guarantee you, I'm the block captain for our zone. I don't know how I got that job, but I did. Anyway, I guarantee you, we're very active. First thing that you should have, if you do not have one already, is a phone list. A list of your neighbors. So, and we don't want you, if you live up by Pythian, we don't want you to know people the way over here. Kind of keep it somewhat controlled to your area. But if you see something suspicious, how do you describe something suspicious? Well, we in the community outreach section call it something that either doesn't feel right, tastes right, smell right, just doesn't look right. And it draws your attention to it, and you say, well, what am I going to do? What's drawing my attention here? They're just acting suspicious. And I can spend the rest of the afternoon giving you examples of what is suspicious. But you know it. And that computer in your mind, that feeling, that gut feeling that we call about, that women intuition that we talk about, that's what we're talking about. That's something to draw your attention. Draw your attention, what's going on, what do I do about it? If it is something really obvious, we need to call right away. But if it's something that you're not so sure about, maybe you want to confer, that's what the phone list is for. I have, like when I go home this afternoon and I come home in the evening, I know exactly what belongs. And about 2 weeks ago, I made the turn in the evening about 6 o'clock when I came home, and there was a car, green pickup truck, didn't belong. I knew everybody on that block, didn't belong. 2 individuals in it. As soon as I made the turn into my area, they saw, I saw, they looked, I looked, saw the license plates, I memorized it, they were gone. What were they doing? It could be 1,000 reasons. Thousands of reasons. But the mere fact that they saw me, I saw them, I acted normal, kind of like, you know, I didn't go over there and say, oh, by the way, what you're doing here, and welcome to the neighborhood. But that just mere fact of doing that. When you call, please be calm, cool, and collected. You're going to ask 1,000 questions. Be as precise as you possibly can. Give us a description. Again, don't be confrontational. Please start at the top. We need race and gender, where they hat, jacket, pants, because what they do is that they will discard that jacket, discharge that hat, change that appearance as best they can. But they don't change that shirt underneath, slacks don't change. If it's a car, anything that makes it unique, let us know. Again, please don't be confrontational. Please don't put yourself in any kind of harm's way. So when you call, you can call 911. We'd like you to use that for emergencies only. Crimes in progress. Fire, medical, crimes in progress. Or you can use our non-emergency number, the 528. Hopefully everybody knows that one by now. 528-5222. It comes in on the same council. It goes to the same people. It just leaves those 911 open for medical occasions, things of that nature. Just give them a description. Hi, this is such and such at this address, and this is suspicious. We had this neighborhood watch. I'm all into it. I buy into the program. and this is what I see. They will ask you questions, and the way you give the answers and all that kind of stuff will distract somebody. Please don't hesitate to call. We are here to serve. They are here to serve. Please don't hesitate to call. You can be anonymous. We have several occasions on the other part of town where we've seen drug detailing was going on, such that call. Just call. They are there. Just because you don't see immediate results on those drug things doesn't mean they're not paying attention. There are things that you can do, and I'm sure the security people are going to tell you about that. There are, and I'm going to have literature at the table over there about locks and things of that nature that you can do. But when you are out and about, please be vigilant and be aware, because it's your eyes and ears that are going to see them. Also, let me give you one, how much time I got? Oh, 4 minutes, good. Let me give you an example. About January of last year, it was a nice sunny day, and it's January might get. I was out in front, and I was out playing around out there, and 2 squad cars passed in front of my house. Unusual. A couple of minutes later, another squad car, field evidence attack, and then another squad car. So way beyond my curiosity. I mean, I have to go see what's going on. So I went up the street, and I live by Annandale. So it's not uncommon for cars to park up there. But this one car, 3 individuals parked, and they started towards Annandale entrance. 2 of them went south, back down the street, looked at a house, went up to the door. One pack went into the car, knocked on the door, rang the doorbell, no answer. Came back down, jumped the fence. They were seen when they parked the car. They were seen when they jumped the fence. We had 2 squad cars there within 2 minutes. Neighborhood watch works. You got to work it. You got to make it yourself. You got to take it. You can't leave it to the people down the street. You can't leave it to the Joneses. You can't leave it to Pursue here. You got to embrace it. It's yours. I just empowered you. Anything else? Questions? Uh-oh.
Kathleen Conley, Mountain Vista Place. I'm wondering, I do see a neighborhood watch sign on a pole about 3 blocks from my home. Is there a plan that we could put into action for more of those throughout all of Oakmont?
Sue can answer. She can answer that.
I'm the one that
Use the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm the one that handles the orders for those, and typically it's when there is a neighborhood team, then I ask them, do they want to purchase one of those signs? And that's the way it works.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Yeah, Bill Moore, 132 Oak Island Circle. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I understand there has been 8 burglaries in the last 90 days. Is that correct?
More than 8, closer to 20.
20 burglaries over what time frame?
I'd say 9 to 10 burglaries, but a lot of other stuff, theft and intoxication, good heavens, all sorts of stuff.
I heard 8 earlier, but now that's up to 12. I don't know what it is. What is it?
Well, is the specific number that important? We've had a lot of them, and it's unusual.
Yeah, the degree to which we're being burglarized is important to me. Over 20.
Those are all interior?
Well, this list goes from the 21st of, oh, I'm sorry, from the 2nd of February to the 21st of July, so it's pretty current. And there are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17, 19, 20 reported burglaries.
20 reported. It's a trailer to that. The police have come out and taken fingerprints, I understand, every time there's a burglary. I'm wondering, are we talking about the same group of people, or are we talking about 20 different people?
I don't have that information, John. Any comment on that? There's another member of the police department who will be out later, a lady named Marley Wellington, and she'll be available at the police table over on the side after this formal part of the meeting is over. She could very well be able to answer questions. I know for a fact that she has been out here on a couple of these instances and has taken fingerprints, so.
So I guess, how do we get information? If you can't tell me now, I mean, how do we find out? Do we call the police department? Are they going to tell us?
She'll be here if you can wait till about 4 o'clock and you can interrogate her. I think she can give you the information. Will that help?
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Am I back on? Can you hear me? Am I on? Okay. You hear me over there? Hello? Hello? Okay, when there is a burglary, we get fingerprints and all that kind of good stuff. The officer will be here. That information is turned over to the property crime section, and there are detectives that deal with that. So anything about burglary, property crime, the property crime section.
I'm sorry, could I just say one thing quickly in response to that? I'm on the communications committee. There is a new column in the Oakmont News that began with the last issue, and that does have a crime summary.
All right, shoot.
Hi, I just wanted to make a personal comment. Pat Chapman, 360 Pythia. Our home was the first one robbed in April. I think it's vital that this is all considered and passed. We had about $35,000 worth of items stolen. No damage to the home, but they took a TV, they took computers, guitars. Now we're very cautious. We have ADT, and we are always aware of what's going on around us. I think it's important to, rather than shut the door after the cow's gotten out, to take a stand now and take steps to protect our community. There's been other people I've talked to that have been robbed who want to move out of the area because they don't feel safe. I just think rather than thinking this won't happen to you, it will. When we walked in and saw all the cupboard doors open, it was awful. So just wanted to pass on. I know some of the board members are here, and I just wanted to encourage them to follow through on this. It's devastating.
What would you like to see done?
Well, you know, people think, oh, cameras are too much, we can't spend the money, then what are you going to do? You can't sit back and let these people come in and just rob us. You have to take a stand and show that we're here, we're a unit, and we want to stop people from entering our community and just stealing from us. I've noticed 2 people on the Oakmont Village has posted sightings of suspicious people. One probably wasn't anyone dangerous, another one possibly could be. Both got the phone numbers, the license plate and description. Hopefully this type of behavior, this type of action will encourage people to be more involved in Oakmont.
Well, that's hopefully we're trying to give you enough information
right.
to help you do
but
this for yourself.
It's hard for me to see people questioning it or thinking, is this valuable? Should we do it? It's money. $7,500 for mulch. I'd rather see the money protecting us.
If you want to go beyond that, I think you have to address this problem to the board of directors.
Yeah, I will. I know there are board members here, I've seen them, so I just thought I'll use this format also.
You can come to the next board meeting,
right.
And they have an open period,
right.
which time you can address your concerns. And,
right.
And if you have some specific recommendations, throw them out to the board.
Oh, I will.
We love to see the board square way over.
Yeah, I want to thank Frank too. Frank, you've done a great job. Thank you, and the board members. Thanks.
Okay, the little bell has rung. Time to move on. So, oh, I'm sorry. Another question? We have a little time. We'll squeeze in.
Marcia Norris, Woodley Place. I wonder, we're going to be taking photos of cars, probably trucks as well. What about bicycles? Is it not possible that the burglars are coming in with backpacks on, some of them? I mean, this is probably not one person. This is probably a ring, and the bicyclists are coming in here in tremendous numbers now that it's been opened up as an official Santa Rosa public bicycle area. And we're seeing so many more bicycles come in, and they are great, to be able to ride anywhere and be, able to jot down who's home, who's left their garage open, whose door's open, whatever they want. They're the eyes and the ears, possibly for, a group that then comes in trucks or cars.
Well, you could be very right. Frank, the camera certainly will catch bicycle riders, won't it?
Absolutely, if they happen to be up and down Oakmont Drive or Pythian Road. Again, what the police were more concerned about was the actual getaway. It's always large items. Granted, there are small items such as jewelry, but large items, as Pat said, computers, televisions, musical instruments, and those are probably not getting spirited away on bicycles. But the system we recommended does have a capacity for increase. If the OVA board accepted it and then chose to expand it, it could move to additional streets within Oakmont or to any Oakmont facilities.
Do any of the other businesses, et cetera, here in Oakmont have cameras that would help out? We did have a robbery at Wells Fargo Bank. We did have a break-in at Oakmont Market. Do you know anything about whatever happened there? Was there ever, any conclusion as to who might have done that? Do they have cameras up?
Absolutely. The market, all the banks, every bank ATM in this country, along with a lot of the other places we've read.
So we can use their cameras then as well.
Most of those are inside their businesses.
Oh, well, that doesn't help.
Right. That's why these businesses were supportive of the cameras on the public street, and when they spoke to Joan, agreed to financially support the concept.
And I would like to ask one more thing, please, quickly. The gentleman before me spoke, and you told him that there would be someone back there to talk to him. We all want to hear what that person is going to be telling him. So that person needs to come up here. They should have been here for this meeting. They need to come up and they need to speak to all of us. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be a representative of the Santa Rosa Fire Department. He comes from Station 7, which is our station right here in Oakmont. And so I'm going to ask John Arnheim to come up this time and talk to you about safety and rescue. They do a wonderful job through their medics. John, have at it.
How you folks doing? My name is John Arnheim. He was close, almost got it pronounced right. But I'm here to talk to you from the Santa Rosa Fire Department, right here at Station 7. And I feel a little bit out of place. This is obviously people are concerned about the burglaries and what's going on, but we just want to also emphasize that obviously our safety is of paramount importance to all of us. I mean, we are residents out here at Oakmont just like you guys. We have had at other fire stations, we've had burglaries. I personally had my car torn to pieces while I was at work. So, just like you guys, we're concerned about these things too. But we wanted to touch on the other side of your safety, knowing about fire safety, your medical safety, these types of things. Obviously, most times when we do these types of talks, they're at schools, but I get to speak with you guys about some other very important things that you guys can take care of yourself and possibly look for other avenues to increase your safety. The Oakmont board here is obviously taking steps for you guys to provide more safety, but I think I might be jumping the gun. There might be other companies here to talk to you guys about alarm systems and things of that nature. We cannot stress enough how important having smoke detectors and alarm systems are. They absolutely, more than anything else out there, are going to save lives. We obviously care very much about our property and our lives. And the most important thing you can do is make sure you have functioning and appropriate smoke detectors and smoke alarms. Smoke detectors are cheap, they're inexpensive. As long as you're replacing those batteries once a year, testing them every so often, and replacing them about approximately every 10 years, you're going to do wonders. Just remember that when you're placing them, they need to be put in the appropriate places. Obviously in all bedrooms, outside of sleeping areas, and on at least one on every floor. Most of the houses in this neighborhood are one story, so it's not too much of a concern, but making sure that you have those and that they're working, you can't do anything more important in your home. A lot of common fires that we're having issues with are cooking fires. Again, vigilance is very, very important. Just paying attention, not leaving the kitchen when you're cooking, not doing other projects, not doing other things while you're cooking. That's very important. The other thing that we want to stress for a safety factor is trying to not, similar to what they were talking about, the police gentleman here was talking about, is not taking action. Don't try to put out your own fires. Don't try to do these things. Leave, rescue yourself, self-evacuate, call 911. That's what we do. We're trained professionals, protected, we can do this. The last thing we want to see is have one of you guys try to put out a fire and being burned or hurt, and we couldn't handle that. That's really dreadful. So we just want to call 911, we'll come and take care of it. Another thing that we've had a couple of recent fires with dryer fires, it's a kind of overlooked thing, very, very common. People not cleaning out their lint traps or even cleaning out the lint vents. That becomes very flammable. We go to a lot of those fires. And again, a lot of people will be doing their laundry and leave to run other errands, and then the fires are not detected. Again, great importance to have alarm systems, especially these third-party alarm systems that have a self-alerting system where it contacts their dispatch and they can contact our dispatch. It helps a lot even if you're not home. The last one I want to touch on is heating fires. This is a big, big concern, especially of recent. People have transitioned to using a lot of these space heaters that are electric and whatnot, and these are very, very dangerous, and a lot of people don't understand the danger of them. I'm not saying that you can't use them. I'm saying they are very dangerous, especially where you place them, things that are placed nearby, flammable materials. I mean, they're very, very dangerous. So we just want to keep, good vigilance on that and make sure that you guys know what's going on. The last things that I wanted to really touch on were kind of the use of our 911 system and knowing, like with the neighborhood watch, what's going to happen. So a lot of people are surprised when they call 911 for a medical emergency and we show up. When you call 911 for a medical emergency, you're going to have an ambulance and a fire engine show up. Oftentimes, that's because the fire engine is going to get there faster. So when we get there, we're able to help and respond. Now, I personally have had a few incidents where we were respond for the life alarms that a lot of people have nowadays. And it was an accidental push. These people have been very concerned because we'll come into their house and they don't know we're coming, and we can look like a burglar coming in with flashlights at midnight. I've startled quite a few people out here. So just be vigilant, know what's going on, and if you're a neighbor and you see people coming around with flashlights at night, even if you called 911 to say, or even the non-emergency line say, hey, there's someone crawling around the backyard of this house with flashlights and whatnot, we're fine if the police show up and it's us, because our dispatchers will hopefully be able to talk to each other. But the last thing we want is for someone to come out with a gun and shoot us when we're trying to do a rescue. So just knowing what's happening, what's occurring. We've had a few phone calls to 911 that probably could definitely be used in a non-emergency line or a different avenue be taken, but we're glad to be out here helping you guys. I've been working out at this station for quite some time now, and I gotta be honest, this is a great community. You guys really do look out for each other, and it's exciting to hear about the neighborhood watch stuff that's going on, because you guys really do take care of each other. Just knowing that vigilance and paying attention is great. We're glad to see it. You guys have any questions? Well, you can take up my time. I knew I was going to run short, so that's good. I'll leave my extra time for the other board here. Thank you, guys.
Hi, my name is Ernestine Trujillo. I live at 8886 Oakmont Drive, and the fire representative was so great. I think vigilance is the main key word for everybody who's spoken so far. And I like the idea of the neighborhood watch. I think the idea of the surveillance camera is a good idea. But I did have a concern that I did not attend a meeting yesterday of the Finance Committee, and you sort of touched about that the video would last for a week. And so, and it was brought up even yesterday, and I know even listening today, if it gets erased weekly, how is that accumulating data? And for someone like me who goes away 2 or 3 weeks at a time, and I come back after 3 weeks and find out I've been burglarized, then what?
Okay, we actually have addressed that question. The video equipment has a 7-day retention period before it begins to overwrite the data. And the response from the police department and from the video surveillance company is the issue we have right now is burglaries that are taking place in a time frame as short as 1 hour. We had a lady on Fairfield who had been in her house consistently for 6 weeks because she had been ill. She went out to get ice cream with her daughter. She was gone 45 minutes, her house was burglarized. The Chapmans were gone for less than 2 hours playing cards within the community when their house was burglarized. Another lady reported on Mockingbird that she went to the grocery store for 1 hour. Her house was burglarized. We have no evidence right now that long-term vacancies are being targeted by these people. It's a crime of opportunity, and they're looking at a very short time window. People who are absent for long periods need to take different security measures.
Such as?
Such as a home security system, such as a house sitter, such as giving your neighbors your cell phone number and saying, I'm going to be traveling, I'm going to be visiting my children. If you see anything, here's my cell phone number. Giving your neighbor a key and saying, would you pick up my mail? Be sure and pick up my newspapers. Would you mind watering my plants? Whatever. Different needs when you're going to be gone for a long period of time versus just running up to the grocery store for 1 hour and coming home and finding a crowbar has been used on your front door.
Right. And I think those are all common sense things that many of which I do already. But I'm just curious, in this system, why couldn't it be downloaded weekly and put onto something?
One word.
Right.
Money. We're looking at the system that will provide the greatest amount of bang for our buck, so to speak. The issue that has been reported is burglaries that occur within a very short time window, and that's why this is appropriate for that sort of issue.
Okay.
Any other questions? Here's a lady.
Hi, I'm Jane Zine. I've been here 35 years, and I think that it might not occur to you, but I think since we have all this estate sales and all this garage sales, they're bringing all kinds of people in. My husband and I, we go to them just to look around to see what kind of people, and a lot of them are not Oakmonters. They come by and buy the stuff, but they're still not Oakmonters. And I've been here for 35 years and we never had any trouble. But when I first moved in, we were not allowed to have any garage sales or estate sales when we first moved in. And that's all I can say. And also, when we first moved in, we always had patrol cars going all up Pythian, around Oakmont, and all the way down. We don't go to bed till real late, and every night I see them go back and forth all the time. Patrol cars, and I haven't seen one in years in Oakmont.